Hi. Hello. Hi, I'm Cameron. Welcome, pleasure to see you here. If you're watching this close to the upload date, I will be competing on Jeopardy, or if you're watching this in the distant future, where like Joe Biden's president or coronavirus has been eradicated, lucky you. Also, I was on Jeopardy beginning January 13th, 2021, and that's a Wednesday. So this video here is the first video in a short series where I plan to document trauma, share behind the scenes gossip, teach you about 19th century artists, and also address the Jeopardy contestant experience. So in this particular video, I'm gonna share my story of the entire Jeopardy audition process. I'll sprinkle in a few tips if you also want to be on Jeopardy. So buckle up, it's gonna be fun. If you like that. I mean, if you don't, I mean, you open the video so you can probably figure out how to close it. Maybe. So, Okay, so anyways, what is Jeopardy? There's a show called Jeopardy, has an exclamation point. It's the third longest running game show, and IMDb users call it timeless and addictive, and no offense, but it's better than Wheel of Fortune. Anyways, it's a televised quiz show, and how it works essentially is in 30 minutes, you've got 3 contestants, they scribble their name on a board, get introduced by the host, respond to trivia clues in the form of a question, give a little chat about themselves, and then respond to way more trivia clues in the form of a question with a final big clue, red lighting, dramatic wagering, 1 victor, 2 losers, winner plays the next game, 2 others do not, and roll credits. So now if you know about me in my Maslow's pyramid, you'll see right there at the bottom, we've got money and national attention. So that's where this comes into play for me. I had to apply to be on. So, I mean, I also like trivia. I love pub quizzes. I play them often, don't win nearly as much as I play them, but I have a good time. So why not? Back in April 2020, I Googled how to get on Jeopardy, and you should do this too, because what you'll find and what I found is something called the Anytime Test. Now, what's the Anytime Test? Well, the answer is part of the question. It's a test you can take anytime. So online, no human interaction, just you and your keyboard and 50 questions that pop up. And when they pop up, you've got 15 seconds to write the correct response in the dialog box. No who is, no what is, just straight trivia for 50 questions, and it's over almost as soon as it starts. And that's it. You don't get your results. They don't tell you how many you need to pass. I have no idea how many I got correct, just did as best as I could and forgot about it because they just say, thanks, we'll be in touch if we want you. So just, continued living life, forgot I took the test, moved on until suddenly Friday, August 28th, 2020, 4 months after I took my test, I got a little ping in my inbox. And that said, congratulations, you've been selected for a follow-up audition exclusively for those who successfully passed the online test. And a calendar link came with that email so I could schedule the next part of the audition process about 5 days after I got said email inviting me to it. So if you or somebody you know has been on Jeopardy prior to March 2020 and claims that they got to travel for a written test where they use a pencil or something fancier, archaic, that didn't happen for me. I'm sure you've heard by now, but we are in the middle of a global pandemic, so it's kind of a no-go on the public gatherings. My next step was an online quiz. Again, same deal, 50 questions, a little bit of time to answer each. I mean, it was basically identical to the first test. Different questions, but same process. So I'm speculating that they're just checking to make sure that the first test wasn't a fluke, and also that you don't have 7 people behind you shouting out the answer. So, hi, this is post-production Cameron here, and I just wanted to pause the video briefly to make sure that you notice that special effect there with the 7 talking heads. Now that took me so much time to do that I've actually run out of time to do any special effects or post-production work at all for the rest of the video, or actually the rest of the series, as it turns out. So what I'm going to do is rewind the video so you can watch that special effect one more time, and then I invite you to watch the rest of this raw, unedited video where I have nothing to distract you from the fact that my eyes never make contact with camera because I'm reading a script. But try and hang in there. There's some pretty good content. Allegedly, I haven't been able to make it through the whole thing myself, but if you are able to do so, let me know how it is in the comments below, and enjoy, I guess. And also that you don't have 7 people behind you shouting out the answer. So anyways, I did the call, went really quick, that was over, same secretive criteria, don't know what happened or how I did, felt good, tried doing the thing where I forgot about it, moved on with my life, set goals, built fulfilling relationships, pursued non-Jeopardy careers, the usual. And then later, I got another email saying, actually, it was literally 2 days after I took that test, that said, "Congratulations, we're happy to invite you to participate in the final part of the Jeopardy audition process. And that will consist of playing a mock version of Jeopardy to assess your game playing skills." So that was fun. And they also sent an application form to be submitted prior to the audition, which was sort of exciting because finally I could talk about me and answer questions like name and occupation and previous felony convictions. But yeah, so I sent that in, filled out the application. A few days later, I showed up to the Zoom call. And this was different because it wasn't just a quiz, it was a mock game with human interaction. And the humans specifically with whom I was interacting were John and Lori, the nicest, peppiest, most lovely contestant producers you ever met. And of course, like, they have tons of jobs to do behind the scenes, but as far as I'm concerned, their main job was just to make us feel relaxed and comfortable and let us do our best, because at this point, they know we know stuff. We took the 2 tests. They're not so much testing for trivia knowledge. I mean, obviously in the mock game, everything counts, they say, but you are also a TV subject on a TV show. So you will need a pulse in some shred of humanity. And I got the impression that that's a big component of what they were looking for. So my reaction to this, behind the scenes detail here, this is the first but not the final time where I use drugs or alcohol to modify my mental or physical state of being. So I'm not a not nervous person by any means, and this involved a number of fears of mine. So public speaking, check. Social interaction in front of strangers, check. Being evaluated on the spot. Yeah, so my drug of choice at this phase was coffee, and a lot of it. Tons of caffeine, made me peppy, threw on a suit jacket, fancy glasses, jumped on the Zoom call, and boom, there were 12 people there, all smiling, all secretly wanting to do the best. But everybody was all nice about it. So all 12 of those potential contestants passed the online test. All age ranges, it seemed, all but 2 or 3 seemed to be from the Western United States or so. But anyways, we were randomly divided into 4 groups of 3. Each group of 3 was put on the spot while the rest were muted, and one by one, we had to introduce ourselves with our name, our occupation, and also answer one of 2 questions, which were either what would you do with the money if you won Jeopardy, or how has COVID affected you? So some people gave bad answers. Like, a shockingly significant number of people chose to answer what would you do with the money with things like put it in savings or like pay bills. And like, I don't work in casting, and I also think like sound financial choices are good. But like, if every Jeopardy contestant started their introduction time discussing debt repayment, I would just not watch. I mean, I didn't give a good answer by any means. I mean, I answered how has COVID affected you with like, my dog and I are best friends now, and followed up with like dog parky style small talk. And like, if my unique story that I ended up having was I have a dog, which is A, not unique, or B, not interesting, so it wasn't my shining moment. But also, I didn't mention a savings account. So it could be worse. But some of the fun people talked about cool trips they'd take with the money, or how COVID had like inspired them to make masks for first responders, like actual cool stuff. So pro tip, be like them, say cool stuff. If you make it to this phase, I would at least suggest coming with some interesting one-liner prepared about what you would do with the money. And like, you're dreaming here, and nobody's running a budget analysis on your fantasy world. So live in your fantasy world, like, spend the money, take the trip, just like be a little interesting if you can, and then just nail that mock interview, because what comes next is the mock game. Now this is quite a big step up from the anytime test, and it's just straight up practice Jeopardy. You got 3 contestants, you got a Jeopardy board, and you have to call out categories and dollar amounts. And after the clue's read, you buzz in with like a ballpoint pen that they tell you to grab from your desk. Producers will call on one of you 3 to give their correct response. And with the ballpoint pen thing, it's not an actual race at this phase. I mean, obviously they want to call on all 3 contestants to give them a chance to play, to, actually audition everybody that's there to audition. So they really try to spread it around to everybody in your group. And there's also no scoreboard in this round. So I speculate what they're really looking into is, can you play Jeopardy in a Jeopardy way, following Jeopardy guidelines, which might include things like saying who is or what is before the answer. For example, you're not buzzing in until after the last word of the question is read. And when you buzz, you're not just hitting your buzzer once, but you keep hitting it over and over again until somebody's name is called. Another Jeopardy thing that you have to do, don't say, can I have before authors for 200, for example, or I'll take, or please. Just say the shortened category, the most important word in the category name, and the dollar amount. They want you to be able to call these clues as quickly as possible because in a real game of Jeopardy, you've got 70 clues to get through. And these filler words really add up when you're trying to squeeze everything into like 20 some minutes without commercials. So if you can just be efficient and play quickly, that's what they're looking for. So guess what? Seems easy to do, right? I failed in some aspect. I mean, I knew every response-ish to the trivia part of it, but I also know at least once I did not have my question words there. Like I just buzzed, they called on me and I just blurted cathedral like that. I mean, it was a different word, but you know, you get my point. They gave me a chance to correct it to what is a cathedral? And like life went on, but that's exactly what they're watching for and presumably what they're leading you on or what they're testing you on. So the great part at the end of this audition, the fabulous sign off that they give you is thank you. If you're selected to be a contestant, we'll let you know within 18 months. If you haven't heard from us, try again. Bye. So 18 months is a long time to sit on the edge of your seat. So, you know, my deal was to just forget that I even took it. I mean, people on the internet that aren't affiliated with Jeopardy say that about 15% of the people that make it to an audition actually make it on the show. So I figured that like my boring dog talk and my forgetting the question words, like definitely put me in the bottom 85%, which isn't bad, but also not worth being on the show. So I just kind of moved on my life, did that. Yeah, November 18th, less than 2 months after my mock audition / mock game, I got a lovely phone call on my phone from a 310 area code, which I happen to know because I obsessively looked it up, was a Culver City area code. And I picked up the phone and it was the same contestant producers that were at my audition asking about availability to come on the show. So figured that out. I was officially selected as a contestant. I would have 12 days to prepare. Blech. So a lot happened next. In my next video, I'll talk about all my Jeopardy study and strategizing and all the work that I did prior to actually appearing on the show. But yeah, that'll come in tomorrow's video. Subscribe if you want notifications for when they're posted. Like this video, share it around, have a good whatever the day of week it is where you are, and I will see you later. Thank you for watching so much. Bye.